The recent revelations from the Israeli Defense Forces have drawn global attention to one of the most alarming underground networks ever uncovered in modern warfare. According to the IDF Chief, Hamas constructed what is now being called the largest human shield in history, an intricate system of tunnels buried beneath densely populated areas in Gaza. This isn't just about warfare. It's about the deliberate blending of military operations with civilian infrastructure in a way that raises deep moral, strategic, and humanitarian questions. The tunnels, sometimes referred to as the Gaza Metro, are not small or rudimentary. They represent a calculated and well-funded engineering project designed to withstand attacks, conceal movement, and provide Hamas fighters with operational advantages. At their core, these tunnels were meant to allow fighters to move undetected, store weapons, and prepare for ambushes, all while remaining shielded by the civilian population above them. Unlike traditional military bases that stand separate from civilian zones, these tunnels snake directly under residential neighborhoods, schools, and hospitals. The choice of these locations was not accidental. It was intentional, designed to exploit the presence of non-combatants as a shield against airstrikes and ground offensives. From a technical perspective, the construction of these tunnels reveals a surprisingly advanced level of planning and resource allocation. Reports indicate that Hamas used reinforced concrete, steel, and sophisticated ventilation systems to ensure durability and livability within these underground passages. Some tunnels are said to be wide enough for vehicles and motorbikes, creating avenues for rapid deployment. Others contain rooms designed as command centers, storage depots, or even makeshift barracks. The performance aspect here lies in how well these tunnels enabled Hamas to operate with a degree of invisibility against Israel's surveillance and military technology. For years, these structures allowed movement and preparation right under the noses of one of the world's most technologically advanced militaries. Yet, the unique selling point of this underground network is not its engineering brilliance alone, but rather its controversial and ethically troubling integration with civilian life. By building directly under homes and infrastructure, Hamas ensured that any strike against their tunnels could potentially endanger innocent families. This design element created an impossible dilemma: target the tunnels and risk civilian casualties, or leave them intact and allow militants to regroup. That is why the IDF chief referred to it as the largest human shield in history. It represents not just military fortification, but a deliberate entanglement of civilians in the mechanics of war. In layman's terms, imagine a city with a hidden second layer beneath its streets. Beneath the schools, markets, and apartment buildings are concealed roads, rooms, and storage areas used by fighters. The civilians living above may have little control over what lies beneath, yet their very presence protects those hiding below. This creates a scenario where a military offensive is not just about targeting soldiers, but about navigating the moral weight of civilian safety in one of the most densely populated areas on Earth. What makes these tunnels even more concerning is their scalability. According to reports, the network spans hundreds of kilometers. It's not a single tunnel, but an interconnected web, almost like a shadow version of Gaza itself. This allowed Hamas to sustain operations for extended periods, hide weapons shipments, and launch sudden attacks before disappearing underground. From a tactical standpoint, it gave them a home field advantage, turning Gaza into a fortress without walls. For the IDF, exposing and destroying such a system becomes one of the most complex and dangerous operations imaginable. Tunnel warfare is notorious for its risks, from booby traps to ambushes in tight, dark spaces where traditional advantages like air power and armored vehicles lose effectiveness. From a design standpoint, these tunnels reflect an asymmetrical strategy. Hamas knows it cannot match Israel tank for tank or plane for plane, so it turned to an underground strategy, literally going beneath the battlefield. This is not unlike historical examples such as the Viet Cong's Siu-Chi tunnels in Vietnam, where smaller forces used underground passages to outmaneuver stronger militaries. The difference here is scale and the deliberate integration with civilian life, which amplifies both the tactical effectiveness and the humanitarian consequences. Another feature of these tunnels is their adaptability. The IDF has revealed that some routes even led across the border, designed for surprise incursions into Israeli territory. These cross-border tunnels posed not just a defensive function but an offensive threat, enabling potential kidnappings or surprise attacks. In that sense, the tunnels were not only a shield but also a sword, a way to carry the conflict into enemy territory without detection. For years, Israel invested in tunnel detection technology, including seismic sensors, drones, and ground-penetrating radar. Despite these efforts, many of the tunnels remained hidden, a testament to their construction and concealment methods. Ventilation shafts were camouflaged as civilian structures, entrances were hidden within homes, and noise during construction was minimized to avoid drawing attention. All of this shows a level of design discipline rarely seen outside of state militaries. The exposure of these tunnels reshapes how the conflict is perceived internationally. Supporters of Israel point to this as undeniable evidence of Hamas using civilians as pawns, while critics highlight the devastating consequences of military strikes in such conditions. The revelation forces the world to confront a difficult question. How does one wage war against an enemy that has literally embedded itself within its civilian population? In terms of performance, the tunnels achieved their intended effect for years, providing Hamas with protection, movement, and a propaganda advantage whenever civilian casualties occurred. But their exposure has also revealed the long-term costs. Once uncovered, these tunnels become liabilities, potential traps for those inside, and justification for more aggressive military campaigns from the other side. This duality of engineering, ingenuity, and moral controversy defines the uniqueness of Hamas' tunnel plan. On one hand, it is a reminder of how resourcefulness can offset technological inferiority in warfare. On the other, it underscores the devastating consequences of strategies that blur the line between combatants and civilians. It is both a story of military design and human tragedy, where underground fortifications serve as both shelter and snare.